Story 1. I could taste the decay before I even opened the mailbox. The yellowed envelope smelled like damp cardboard soaked in old coffee grounds, the kind that seep into your nose and won't shift. I was sitting on the curb, flipping through Craigslist job listings, doing the thing that made me feel useful, applying to pick up gigs, hoping to pay rent. That smell came before I touched the envelope. When I did, my fingers caught flecks of something dark, like dried blood or coffee that had gone black and thick. I wasn't thinking straight. Mom used to say my brain was wired backward. I think she was polite. I pulled the letter open. It was handwritten, loopy, uneven. Makes you think someone's heart wasn't in control of their hand. Meet me at the pier warehouse at midnight, it said. No name, no context. I stared at it, clutching the envelope like a lifeline or a trap. Couldn't tell. I wasn't thinking clearly. Rent was due. I told myself I'd peek, then toss it and go back to job hunting. I swear to God, I thought that. I lingered at the pier before midnight, breathing the diesel smell of rusting barges, oily water, wet wood. The piers were empty, streetlight buzzing, one seagull sick and stumbling. I saw it first. I thought it was a person, slumped by a crate, maybe passed out drunk. But as I got closer, my mouth got dry, my heart pounding. Not from fear, just sheer confusion. It was a woman, face pale, hair matted, a long gash across her forearm, blood congealing and clinging. I smelled copper, smelled like the envelope. I knelt, wanted to help or wanted to run. I don't know. She opened eyes that weren't eyes. Eyes like dull stones. She whispered, "Tell them the rule." Terrified me. Couldn't form words. I just stood, unhelped, as her head lolled to the side. The blood pooled, dark and thick, like the smell had promised. She died? I don't know. I don't think she had a chance. My hands shook, torn between tugging my phone out and just screaming. I did neither. I left. The next day, the envelope was taped to my door. Same handwriting, same ragged feel, only it said, "You didn't pass. Try harder." In my apartment, I stood in the hallway, staring at that thing. I remembered the smell. Someone could track me with that smell. I thought, shit, maybe they already have. I slept none of that night. The nights after, I started hearing footsteps in the hallway. Not on my door, but across, near the utility closet. Every night, slow, dragging steps, like someone hesitant. I convinced myself the building was settling, or rats. Could have been. But I'd wake to the faint smell of coffee rot and copper. I'd turn and the hallway would be empty, light flickering, so I swore I'd seen shapes moving. But I couldn't swear. Then came the third envelope, crumpled this time, shoved under my door, open, ragged. "Go back," it said. Just that. I drove out to the pier again, but this time I brought a flashlight and a plan, or a hope for one. Inside the warehouse, darkness, days of salt and rust. I could hear water slapping against pilings. I found more envelopes, not addressed, strewn behind crates, each smear of dark, dried stain that might be blood. Something was mocking me. I felt someone watching. My phone vibrated. A photo from an unknown number. My door. The third envelope taped there. Picture taken just now. I was in the warehouse. I wasn't alone. The world felt upside down. I tried calling 911, but stopped. Part of me thought I'd be bothered or laughed at. Another part, another piece of me, thought calling them would be admitting I was too weak. I paced the warehouse floor, every creak echoing like a scream. I pulled out one envelope and unwrapped it. Inside, a single rule. Read the rules at midnight. No guidelines, no list. I couldn't sleep. My hands, stains of old dried film that looked suspicious, and I wiped them on my jeans, pretending I didn't know what I was covering up. Midnight came. I sat on the cold concrete, envelope in hand, smelling that same old coffee cardboard. Something shifted. The air, or maybe me. I heard breathing, heavy, close. I looked. I swear I did, but no one there. I tried to stand. My knees collapsed, warmth dripping down my leg. I looked. Blood. My blood. Was I cut? Didn't feel sharp pain, but warmth was pooling, soaking through my pants. I crawled, gripping the envelope, thinking I don't want to die alone. I pulled it open. Inside, scribbled on the flap, "Welcome." Something moved behind me, a breath of air like exhale in my ear. I didn't turn. I couldn't. The world spinning around the smell, the blood, the echo of stairs that weren't there. The warehouse floor was cold, wet in spots I couldn't place. My eyes shut. Thought I should call someone, but I couldn't move. I couldn't think. And then I heard it, whisper far off, but in my head, "You're part of it now." I don't remember falling, but I found myself outside later, collapsed on the dock edge, shirt soaked red, hands empty, no envelope. The warehouse behind me silent, no footprints, just emptiness and a sky littered with stars. I couldn't see through the haze. I walked home, trail of blood behind me. The streetlights flickered. At home, I found envelope 1 taped back on the door. New line added in the same looping scroll. "You know you can't leave." I tried to sleep. The ceiling stared back. I could still smell that decay, that old cardboard, coffee, copper. I woke with my hand on the empty spot where my envelope should have been. No blood on the bed, no smell. But the envelopes keep coming. The footsteps continue. I'm bleeding from nowhere, and no one will listen. And the rule, whatever it is, I still haven't read it. I haven't figured it out. And I'm starting to think there's no escape. Story 2. I can still taste the stale vinegar in the Tupperware when I dropped the Craigslist ad. I was sitting cross-legged on the kitchen floor, fluorescent overhead light buzzing, food cold on the counter, and I thought maybe I could recoup rent by renting my spare room. The smell stung my nose like tarnished pennies mixed with old pickles, familiar, swallowed by worry. I didn't expect what came next, but I opened the door that night, and the envelope lay there, like wet newspaper. I'd barely slept, thinking I'd just toss it. But I read it. I can help. Midnight. Backyard. No name, no context. My heart pounded. Not fear exactly, just too much thinking. I'm behind on rent. I need help. So I waited. Midnight crouched in the backyard. Winter grass damp under my knees. The house felt hollow. No hum from inside. And even the streetlight rattled. I shivered. Cold or guilty, a figure stepped into the circle of light. A man, lanky, chin tucked, eyes too wide. His voice low. "You're late." No greeting, just that. No pause for breathing. I stared. He held a sheet of paper, typed like a Craigslist poster, but stained brown at the edges. I reached, but he shook his head, stepping back. "Read it," he said. I took it too fast, ripped open the envelope. Inside, a list. Rules or demands. Rule 1. Let me in before 1 a.m. Rule 2. Don't speak unless spoken to. Rule 3. Blood. That last line, cut sharper than broken glass. I blinked, head spinning. He vanished. I stood back in the grass, paper limp in my hand, words sticking like tar. I went inside, locked the door, mind scrambled. I couldn't sleep. Next morning, envelope taped to bathroom mirror. Same script, jagged and messy now, like panic. Rule 3 is testing you. I looked in the mirror. My face looked thin, hollowed, eyes burning. My hand shook so hard, I didn't notice it cut on the sink edge until the pain bled through. Tiny red line, fingertip, blood beading. I stared. Rule 3. I gasped, rinsed it, but droplets stained the white porcelain like a warning. I couldn't think straight. Night 2, I stayed awake, waiting. Around midnight, the back door clicked, the hinges old and stiff. I followed trails of fear across the ground, heartbeat drumming. I saw him, the same lanky guy, in the kitchen, tracing fingers on the counter. He didn't turn, just whispered, "Not enough." And he dropped a small vial of dark liquid. I smelled copper. My mouth went dry. I wanted to scream. I did nothing. I locked myself in the bedroom, heart tight, and called 911. But I stopped. What would I say? A creepy stranger, a cold note about blood. They'd say I was losing it. Another part of me was curiously calm, as if I was already inside the story, and any help would ruin it. I didn't dial. Late morning, I found the vial on my pillow, lid off, rim crusted, dried, dark stain. I flinched, looked at my hands. No smell on me. No cut, no memory of tearing it from me. But the smell lingered, sickening. My eyes watered. I couldn't leave home. I spent days pacing, checking ads, trying to find familiarity in job postings. All I saw was an ad. Roommate wanted, quiet, blood, okay. No location, just words dangling. I stared at the screen, coffee gone cold. I thought, shit, am I writing it? Is it me? That night, I tried to sleep. I lay staring at the ceiling, heart like a cage. Footsteps downstairs, slow, hesitant. Then, silence. I slipped out of bed, not sure why I didn't grab phone. I followed the thump step by step into kitchen without switching light. I knelt beside the counter. There, scrawled in red across tiles, 3 is done. Wet letters, fresh blood. I pressed my palm to it, warm. I closed eyes, couldn't think. I backed away. I fled to bathroom, locked door, slid down. Hands shaking, full of cold sweat. Could feel something warm pooling inside me. But blood? I looked, shaking. There was a cut, thin, across my forearm. Not there before. Now, slowly weeping. The smell of copper, again, but now mixed with something stale. Couldn't tell if it was inside or out. The next morning, I woke in bed. No memories of bathroom, no cut, no blood on sheets. I thought maybe I hallucinated, but the smell, vaguely always, lingered. I woke to find the final envelope taped to the fridge. It started. Share. No time. No explanation. Just command. I knelt before it, stomach clenching. Tried to open. Hands trembling. Smell rose. Thick, like spoiled vinegar and pennies. I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't stop reading. Words pulse in my brain. Share. Share what? My blood, my horror, my story? I stared at my reflection in the fridge, pale, shaking. Part of me thought, maybe I'm broken now. No return. I left it there, standing, door cracked. I thought, maybe I should call someone, anyone. But I just closed the fridge, let the envelope fall to the floor. Smack. It landed on the puddle by my foot. I looked down, growing, like ink spreading in water. I bent closer. Not ink. Blood. My blood. Seeping fast. Forming words on tile. You belong. I backed away, scrambling for phone. But in that moment, I understood. There is no help. No escape. You don't finish the rules. They finish you. I just stared, phone useless in my palm. And the last thing I sensed was the quiet, steady drip behind me, like footsteps. I didn't move. I couldn't. Story ends here. Story 3. I smelled the damp oil before I saw the van. It sat in the parking lot behind the laundromat, dripping exhaust fumes into the rain-slicked asphalt. I'd come to grab quarters, to dump clothes, and escape my own thoughts. And I was staring at that van and thinking it was just rusted, broken down. But the smell, something old, like engine oil spilt on moss, and something else, metal, stale, almost like blood mixed in. I shouldered my bag and froze. Well, didn't freeze. Ironically, just hung there, brain scrambled. I thought, I'm late. Rent again. Late fees. I shoved the door, loud machine hum. I wasn't thinking, just following. Inside, washers clanked. Nothing unusual. A guy with a hoodie sat at the counter, counting coins. I think I met his eyes, but wasn't sure. No smile. Just absence. I dumped clothes. Moved half mechanical, but tuning into everything. The smell, the clank thud of dryers, that van outside, like a note off key in a lullaby. I slipped out, envelope taped to my car windshield. Same loopy handwriting as the others. There was fear in those loops. Check the van at midnight. Rules apply. My palms went slick. Van, midnight, rules. I stared, thought I'm kidding myself, but then rent. I nodded to myself. I nodded hard. Later, at midnight, rain dripped along the laundromat's roof, a rhythm I couldn't trust. I reached the van, door slightly ajar. Inside, a mirror taped to the cab roof, not reflecting me, but a face inside the dark, pulled, unmoving. I leaned closer, mirror fogged. I pulled, wiped. It was blank, but when I looked again, something flickered. Pale yellow teeth, half grin, but no face. I yanked away, breath cracking. On the van seat, wet envelope. I dropped to my knees, grabbed it. Rules scrawled inside. Rule 1, sit inside with engine off. Rule 2, don't open doors. Rule 2, blood is currency. My throat seized. I thought maybe it was a test, a sick joke. I wanted to run, but I was composed of debt and fear. I sat, just sat, engine off, night pounding. The van smelled like metal and moss and rot, like the envelope does now. I heard scraping across the ceiling, slow, deliberate. I pressed back. I thought, this can't be happening. But it was, and it felt too right. The van door creaked. I didn't move. A hand, not a glove, pushed through the darkness, slow, pulling back. No face. Just sleeve and blood. They spilled, dripped down the hand. My hand shook, pawed at leg, then up. I touched the dimple where fingertip used to be. It was there, my fingertip gone. My breath hitched. I don't know how blood didn't saturate my brain. I hurt but wasn't crying. I just sat. The envelope slipped from my hand. Wet page. Words blurred. I stood, ran, didn't look back. Sweat, rain, heartbeat pounding. Home, fridge door swinging open. Envelope taped there. Step 3 is next. I stared at fridge, cracked eggs inside. Blood dripped from the ceiling into a puddle on tiled floor. My fingertips stung. On my palm, still bloody. Fridge hum loud. Too loud. I bent, touched puddle. Cold. Metallic. Thought I could wash it away. I watched it turn redder. I didn't sleep. At dawn, couch where I collapsed. Envelopes now sprawl across floor. On table, on counter. Step 3 is next. Everywhere. Reading them makes the air taste like rust and regret. My fingertips still tingle. I look at them, half expecting them to vanish. Later, in daylight, the laundromat looked normal. I stood outside, heart jittering. Thinking back to hooded guy. I could go back, but thought, this isn't me. My debt, my fear, they're doing it. I'm already inside. The van is empty, cool and cold when I peek in. No mirror, no blood glove, nothing visible. Just silence and smell. The rot metal moss mix lingers in the air like a promise. I stood there, thinking I should run, call someone. But there's that rule. Didn't know it, but felt it deep. Then I saw droplets on the fender. Tiny beads of blood, shining red. They led to my shoes, then up my legs like ants climbing. My blood? Or theirs? I tried to wipe, but the drops followed. My heart pounded. I realized I was dripping onto the asphalt, forming words. The letters glistened. Will you stay? I looked at the empty van, then back at the trail. My vision twitched. I couldn't tell if they were wet or forming. I staggered backward, pulling at pants, thinking there's no clear escape. Where do you run when you're leaking? At home, envelopes now cover every surface. Photos of the van inside my apartment, of my dried blood. My phone gallery full. I check them. No timestamp, no context, just images. I try to delete them. They reappear. I try to destroy the envelopes. They replicate, bleed onto the floor in smeared ink and red fluid. I panic clean, but the stains deepen. Black, red puddles soaking wood. My hands tremble now. A dull ache in my chest. I catch movement. Shadow passing in the hallway. Slow, intent, but no one's there. The smell is here, in my pillow, my sheets. I sat in bed, looking at ceiling. Breathing, waiting. I think I'm waiting for the rules to complete me. I think I want them to. The last envelope sits on my chest. I reach for it, fingerless hand, shaking. I open. Welcome home. The walls pulse with faint heartbeat. I shouldn't finish it, but I do. And as I read, I feel something in me accept it, somewhere dull and hollow. The final line echoes. We have all steps now. I lay still, listening. The silence in my apartment isn't quiet. It hums. I can smell metal, moss, rot, and I realize the rule wasn't instructions. It was invitation. I'm home now, and I don't know if I'll ever leave.